Thank you, Chairman. Nominee, my questions to you start from a statement you've just made to Kenyans, confirming that in the collapsed finance bill 2024-25, that indeed there were good clauses or good intentions for Kenyans. And that is why some of us who voted yes believed in incorporating the views of Kenyans through public participation, removing the bad and approving the good therein. Having said that, one of the reasons why we've been judged harshly by Kenyans, and again you've alluded to that, is the miscommunication. How we communicated the contents in the finance bill to Kenyans, which was surrounded by a lot of propaganda. Now my question to you, how best do you think that we should communicate to Kenyans? How best should we do public participation going forward? Because you are the one who is going to bring to us the next finance bill. Secondly, you've also spoken to the aspect of revenue raising. And you've said you're going to look at, have a dialogue with KRA and see how best to improve KRA. Do you believe by just restructuring or reorganizing KRA, we will be able to raise sufficient revenue to finance our budget? If not, what other revenue raising measures do you intend to bring on board, because you're the one who will be bringing to us the finance bill? Last but not least, we have interns in KRA. Some of them have been serving for the last 3 years and just getting stipends. They have not been confirmed. Yet I'm also aware that KRA is understaffed. For them to realize the objective, they need to be staffed properly. What are your thoughts? What are you going to do about it? And finally, the last one.
One at a time.
The last one, Honorable
You've
Speaker.
hit 2 already.
Just the last one. Again, a nominee in the supplementary estimates 1 for 24-25. We have rationalized expenditure for all sectors in pursuit of fiscal consolidation. And this is adversely affecting some of the social safety nets that are likely to affect the most vulnerable members of the society. How do you intend to turn around the economy so that you cushion Kenyans to prevent negative impact on their welfare? Thank you.
Members, at least be conscious of your colleagues also queuing to ask questions.
Chair, my apologies. You know, we've worked with the nominee in the budget and appropriations, and we're also in the same line. So I had a number of questions. Thank you.
Divorce and due familiarity with the nominee, and interview them in the manner we have been interviewing others. Dawood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
One question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The nominee, Honorable Mbadi, the division of revenue for the county governments was reduced because of the failure of the 2024-2025 finance bill falling. And now, subsequently, the finance bill 2023 has been declared unconstitutional. Do you, in your opinion, think that again you will ask for the division of revenue from 380 billion going to the counties going down again? Secondly, is the tax policy, being an accountant of long standing, you know, there has to be, tax has to be simple and not be changing each and every other day. You have to give businesses time to recover, because if you change tax policy every other year, how do people plan on what they are going to do? Because that is the other issue. You talked about pending bills as well. You said they should not be paid, or you will have a system. What kind of system are you talking about? You're saying they will not be paid, or you will pay them, but in what manner will you pay them? Thank you.
Murugara as well.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Nominee, the Honorable John Mbadi. To the eyes of Kenyans, you are actually the treasurer of the country. You are the one who is going to be responsible for everything that we treasure, especially our money. The first limit is, would you be able to take a stand and keep that stand firm? Will your yes be a yes and your no be a no? And if so, Kenyans know very well that the reason why we are where we are grossly is because of pilferage of public resources. And everybody knows what the Auditor General, whom you propose to be funded, has been reporting year in, year out. But not one, not two have been taken to court or any form of action taken where it is glaring that public resources are actually being wasted. If this committee affirms you to be the CS Treasury, can you tell Kenyans whether you would actually stand with them to have all thieves, corrupt people, everybody who has pilfered, being brought to book to take responsibility for that crime?
Now answer those, Honorable Mbadi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Through you to address the questions raised by Honorable Massey. Honorable Massey, I can't overemphasize the value of communication, and I would repeat again that one of the weaknesses of the Finance Bill 2024 is that it was not explained properly. And remember, there was this tax on motor vehicle. No one could explain why it was necessary. The people, some of the people or speakers the government sent or Treasury sent to explain it even made a mess of the explanation by saying that this is to increase or enlarge the tax base. Yet almost every one of us who owns vehicles, we pay taxes in one way or the other. So communication is key. Public participation, I think National Assembly, Senate, we need to come up with a clear legislation on public participation. Given the recent events at the courts, we must. This is a priority, and I am looking straight at the majority leader and the minority leader. Then the Speaker, Mr. Speaker, kindly help the government get a legislation in place if the government has not prepared one already.
AG is working on one.
The AG is working on one, I hear. That is very good. So, yes, I don't want to say that there was propaganda or otherwise. You know, if the animal had become bad, Mr. Speaker, in the eyes of Kenyans, the Public Finance Management Bill 2024. So reasoning was thrown off the window, and everybody believed it should be defeated. So I think that is what, but that is because of the communication. On the issue of, so you see, at the beginning, for us to communicate effectively on any matter that comes from government, first there should be believability. I think trust level has gone down. We must build it. We must rebuild trust level. The government must rebuild that trust level. On revenue collection, there are many other measures, but the most important is we must clearly have a state-of-the-art system to collect our taxes. Other revenue-raising measures, I want to mention that we must now think through methods that would generate revenue off balance sheet. One of them is climate change financing. Climate change has a lot of money out there, 1.3 trillion US dollars. We must tap into that money to reduce pressure on the budget. My colleague and friend Honorable Duale's budget should heavily be funded from the climate change financing. Kenya has already applied and has succeeded in securing 259 million US dollars, which will go to 47 counties. It should also help us generate or create jobs for our youth. Another one is PPPs. And Mr. Speaker, allow me to say something about this. You know, we must adopt public-private partnership as a country. But this is going to be very difficult because already the public don't understand PPPs. You can see the issue of JKIA, Mr. Speaker. It's because the public does not understand PPPs. But PPPs is the route to go. We just need to be clear. We just need to have the framework in place. I must give capacity, because it is resident in Treasury, capacity to that department dealing with PPPs. Not just look at the big projects. Mr. Speaker, we must also apply PPP even in small projects to reduce pressure on exchequer. For example, I'll give you an example, which I learned recently, that Kerio Valley Development Authority has a 2-acre land here at Upper Hill, and they had got a private investor to develop offices on that plot for government offices. That request was sent to the National Treasury, and it is gathering dust until they gave up. We must embrace PPP, not just for big projects, across level. And your guess is as good as mine why people focus more on big projects and not the small ones. Road sector, in terms of even maintenance of the roads, in terms of even developing new ones, but we must clearly do evaluation and see if they can work. There is the energy sector, even agriculture, irrigation, we can do PPPs, even the communication, all sectors of the economy, so that we reduce pressure from the exchequer. On staff at KRA, I think I dealt with this before, that we need to look at the staffing staffing of KRA and give them capacity and fill in the gaps. If there are people who have been serving on contracts for a very long time, it's not even, that is not even permissible in terms of human resource management. There is a period through which you can work as a temporary staff. On supplementary one, how do we turn around the economy? This one, I have a lot to say, but I don't want to say so much that I have, because it may take the whole day. Let me just, in 1 minute, summarize. Why is it that our economy grows at 5.6% but is not felt? You need to look, Mr. Speaker, and assess where we have the economic growth in this country. It's mostly agriculture and social and services sector. Agriculture is known not to be very good in raising revenue for the economy. Not very good in raising revenue, world over. Why? Because it's largely informal. Now, we must treat agriculture not as an end in itself. We must invest in agriculture, but with a different mindset. We invest in agriculture to support manufacturing, because manufacturing creates more jobs, manufacturing grows economy much more. Vision 2030, our intention was by 2030, we hit a minimum of 10% GDP. We must do that by working on manufacturing. I want to leave it at that. On Honorable Dayu's question, division of revenue, my view is we shouldn't cut any further the monies that we allocate to counties. Otherwise, we will kill devolution. This was a masterstroke with this constitution. We must, and we owe it to future generations to protect devolution at whatever cost. And that is why in the PFM Act, the moment we approve money to counties, you cannot reduce money that goes to counties, even if there is a shortfall in revenue collection. That was meant to protect the counties. One of the functions given to Treasury is to protect the county governments. And I would not fail in my constitutional obligation to protect the counties. Taxation, I cannot agree with you more. Our tax laws are sometimes too complicated, making it very hard for taxpayers. In fact, it is causing taxpayer apathy. One of the principles of taxation is simplicity, fairness, equity. Our tax system is not simple. In fact, I just forgot to carry. I wanted to read to this committee, Mr. Speaker, a provision in the, do I call it defeated or withdrawn finance bill of 2024? Clause 12, calculating minimum tax, top-up tax. You need to be a very smart accountant to calculate that. Lot of formula, different jargons. You cannot have such kind of legislations and expect to collect revenue. So we need to simplify our tax laws and tax system. If there are, I'm going to work around and check the tax laws that are complicated, that are causing us to lose money. Because when taxpayers realize that it is very difficult and complicated and costly to comply, they will not comply. So we must lower the cost of compliance to taxation. Pending bills, will I pay or not? It is not even me to pay. Authentic bills must be paid. Bills that can be confirmed. And my comment is, we must put a stop. Going forward, there should be no discussion anymore on pending bills. Let us deal with the historical bills and pay them. But going forward, let us not allow MDAs to accumulate more pending bills. And by the way, you'll remember, I have a constitutional mandate. Actually, it is in the statutes. If a accounting officer fails to do what should be done, we can withdraw that power from accounting officer. And that power is with the Cabinet Secretary for Finance. So I am not scaring anyone, but let them be on notice that if you are not going to do what is provided for in the PFM Act, please, you will not be an accounting officer of the government of Kenya. On Mrugara's questions, will I be firm? This one I think Honorable Mugara has an answer. Because, you see, those who know me...
He wants to hear from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, those who know me know my level of firmness. That does not mean I'm disrespectful. You must know who your boss is. You must know where your loyalty lies. But loyalty does not mean that you must be a yes person. I have, in a number of occasions, disagreed with my party leader, who was my boss in the party. You wouldn't know about it out there. Honorable Junet would know. Firmly, but I don't talk about it, because then that would be disrespectful. So if I am told to do what I should not do, I will not do it, if it is not provided in law. Because my duty number one is to protect, safeguard the Constitution. I hope that answers.
Owen.
On the last one.
Yes.
On pilferage of public resources, I think this.
It has been in the streak
that
of
I
your
have
answers.
addressed even previously.
It has
Thank
been
you.
in the streak of your answers. Owen.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, Honorable John Mbadi. Two quick questions. One, VAT refunds and tax refunds is actually one of the loopholes that people use to pilferage funds in this in the government. And you're an accountant, you understand this. I've heard you talk about it. Now that you're in that seat, how are you going to ensure that we don't continue to lose funds through tax refunds, especially VAT refunds? What mechanism will you put? And courts have been used as a means to sabotage government, that people, if you must give back money to taxes, they rush to court, and a lot of money actually is held. Billions of shillings is held because there are court cases, and therefore government cannot access it. What are you going to do to unlock that money, reduce corruption in terms of VAT, and ensure that there's enough cash flow? Secondly, equally, I know you're a believer in constitutionalism. If you look at the Constitution, it's very clear. You have money for counties, you have money for national government. There's also another fund called Equalization Fund, for which many cabinet secretaries have never taken it seriously. And therefore, they pay counties, they pay national government, but Equalization Fund is put under the carpet. And actually, it is Treasury which manages it, unlike the other funds, and therefore they never. And yet, Constitution is very clear on Equalization Fund, but this money has never. I think it was disbursed only once. If approved, John Mbadi, what are you going to do about it? And lastly, John.
Thank you.
This is very important.
Two questions.
This is very important, Speaker, if you allow me. You have, in your career in Parliament as a public, I don't want to call you a politician, but a public service servant. You have disagreed a lot with a lot of the issues that have come from Treasury. A lot in Parliament. You have disagreed. Those are actually prepared by mandarins that you will find there. You know, and especially on finance bill and matters finance, you've agreed with them totally in almost everything, as you've been leader of a minority in. How are you going to change? Are you going to change the people? Or you will become, you know, there's a popular saying that same monkeys, same forest. You know, are you going to be one of the monkeys now there? Or are you going to say, I want all the monkeys out, and you become the bigger monkey and manage Thank you.
Robert?
Thank you, Speaker. From skunks to monkeys. Now, Speaker, you'll allow me two quick questions, one on integrity and the other one on capacity of the nominee. And from the words of the nominee, trust level has gone down, and that's one of the problems we are facing. Now, this is a public office that you've been nominated to that requires serious public trust. I want to take you back. Today you've admitted that there are very many good provisions that were lost in the finance bill. In fact, you're looking for ways by which you will be able to redeem. But you on the floor vehemently opposed this finance bill. In fact, at every clause you said, reject the bill. So now, doesn't this make you appear pretentious, deceitful, and probably a master at doublespeak? And why should Kenyans trust you? Because you've been on record and Kenyans watched and listened to you. Now, on the other bit, still on integrity, you know, we've had this case that one of your predecessors ended up in court on the issue of the dams, Aro and Kimwarer. I was in Parliament with you and we discussed this severally on the floor. These are payments that were made when, in fact, even the feasibility studies probably had not been completed. How will you make sure that these kind of payments will never again materialize from Treasury? And now on the issue of capacity, as Azimio, where you are a member until just the other day, we were alarmed by the Kenya Kwanza plans to increase taxes and borrow more, and we are saying we are not even seeing the development out of that money. Noting that Kenyans do not want punitive and excess taxes, and at the same time the young ones have said they don't want us to borrow. Can you tell us how you will navigate that space?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, nominee, Honorable Mbadi. Honorable Mbadi, you are getting into Treasury, whereby our health sector is extremely underfunded based on the Abuja Declaration and the United Nations recommendation on how countries should finance the health sector. In Kenya, the health sector highly depends on donors, and the donor basket is shrinking, and United Nations is requesting countries to increase domestic financing. The challenge comes whereby the resources within the country are also shrinking. How do you tell Kenyans that they will enjoy universal health care and quality health care with the kind of scenarios I've explained, and how will you navigate to make sure that money sent from national government to county government, in preview that health sector is devolved, are in fence for Kenyans to get health quality service at the county government as a minister for, as a nominee, and if you are approved by this government, this committee, how will you make sure that the finances meant for health sector really goes to the health sector in this country?
You can answer those.
Thank you. Let me start with, Mr. Speaker, let me start with the questions directed to me from Honorable Owen Bayer, the Deputy Leader of Majority. On VAT refunds, Mr. Speaker, we have the tax, this is what we call the tax expenditure. It is costing us quite a bit, in fact, almost $500 million every year to refund taxes, a lot of which are fictitious. It means there is a problem with the system, and that system must be corrected. But again, I think we need to, as a tax expert, and Mr. Speaker, I think I'm one of the people who can explain clearly the difference between zero rating and exempt commodities in this country. But I don't want to bore you with those explanations. I just want to mention that I think we need to have a conversation whether those items which we need to subsidize through VAT so that we don't expose Kenyans to untold sufferings as a result of high cost of living, we may think of most of them go to exempt categories so that we avoid the zero rating of commodities which result in tax refunds. Because tax refunds is largely especially on VAT, as a result of zero-rated commodities. Yes, the prices will slightly increase because zero-rated commodities become cheaper in the long run if it is properly administered. And I want to be very careful there because the zero-rated commodity, sometimes the benefit is not passed to the consumers. So we need to emphasize and have almost every item that we want to still subsidize under VAT under exempt commodity. Then you will eliminate the issue of tax expenditure in that line. The other issue is also on the advance taxes that we pay. We must have a system that captures these advance taxes properly so that when finally the taxpayer files returns, they don't claim tax refunds which they don't merit. Then we will minimize the issue of tax expenditure. On equalization fund, I can't agree with you more. This fund must be operationalized. I know there are some challenges. When I get to the Treasury, if you approve my nomination, Mr. Speaker, I will find out what are these challenges. I'm told there are issues about whether to use counties or areas. The Constitution actually talks about areas. It doesn't talk about counties. But we should also not spread it too thin because we know it is stemming from Article 201, Mr. Speaker, where there should be inclusivity, there should be equity in developing our country, using our public resources to develop the country uniformly. So we should not spread it too thin. There are certain regions in this country which have been marginalized over the years, from Sessional Paper number 10 of 1965. Those regions deserve attention, and we had only 20 years to do this. I know Parliament can change that, but why don't we utilize that properly? So when I get to the Treasury, I will make sure that this fund is properly operational. Every year the money is released. It's not even a lot of money to attend to issues of health, roads, electricity, and water. It's only targeting 4 areas. Finally, on that matter, Mr. Speaker, I speak with passion because I know what marginalization is all about. Mr. Speaker, I recognize myself both as a Luo and as a Suba. My mother is a Luo, or the late mother was a Luo. My late father was a Suba. So because in our society, you take your father's ethnicity. I'm so a Suba, so I am a Suba. Subas don't even constitute 2%, so we are a minority. I know what it means to be marginalized. I have been disagreeing with the National Treasury. No, I have not actually been disagreeing. I've actually
You've been holding just a different opinion.
Yeah, a different opinion. And by the way, now those opinions, we will have difference of opinion, Mr. Speaker, at the source. So it doesn't have to come to Parliament. Those opinions, the differences will now be at the source.
And they will be harmonized there.
And they will be harmonized, and I will finally, Mr. Speaker, take the same to the cabinet. I'm the one who will be defending these tax measures or whatever it is, whether budget estimates or it is BPS. I'm the one who will now be presenting them to the cabinet. I must present something that I'm convinced, I understand, and I agree with. But that does not mean that only my ideas will have to be taken. No, you must accept also to be advised. These people have wealth of knowledge. Some of them know probably even more than I do in matters of economics. So I will listen to them, but I'll take the responsibility. Honorable Mbui is now not trusting me. But Mr. Speaker, you know Honorable Mbui was actually my deputy for 5 years. And he knows that I can be trusted. On the rejection of the bill, Mr. Speaker, we understand the circumstances. Actually, we were responding to Kenyans. And I was actually, Honorable Junet is helping me by telling me the whip was applied. I am a very faithful and loyal member of it. By the way, I have been a member of the Economic Council of Azimio, advising the leader of Azimio on economic matters. And I was convinced that even though there were some good provisions in the bill, which I mentioned when I was contributing on the floor of the House, you gave me 5 minutes as a speaker. And I said there are some good ones, but the bad ones now have made the good ones look bad. You know, and so the public made a referendum. There was a referendum, an official referendum by the public on this bill. Mr. Speaker, if you looked at the social space, everybody was saying reject. And since I am representing people, not stones, not animals, I had to listen to the people and do what they wanted, Mr. Speaker, by rejecting the bill. So there is no inconsistency. My trust level is still where it was, Honorable Mbui. And by the way, I don't think I'm not a member of Azimio. I am, only that I'm not an official of Azimio. I mean, I'm not holding any political office. I'm still a member of ODM, by the way. On Arawa and Kemwarer, that, I must say, contracts in this country, Mr. Speaker, and my stint as the chair of Public Accounts Committee has taught me something, that the contracts that we sign, especially financial contracts, are lopsided. They are helping the lenders more than they help the country. Why on earth would you start paying interest on money that you have not received? I don't understand it. I don't get it. And this is why I'm saying when I get to the Treasury, if you approve my appointment, my nomination, I will have to get the opinion of the Attorney General. Because you find a lot of money, Mr. Speaker. It will come in the report of Public Accounts Committee. We pay so much money on undrawn funds because it is provided in the contracts. And so those issues around Aurora and Kimwarera and such like equivalent projects, Honorable Mbui, have confidence, will not happen during my tenure. Finally, on Honorable Mbui, how would we navigate the lack of funds? We know there's lack of sufficient exchequer in this country, and that's why we have to divest and move to other areas which are off balance sheet, as I've mentioned before. But more importantly, our project management system. We have 437, Mr. Speaker, that is the latest data that I have, of stalled projects. This is where we have invested money, but they have become white elephants. We must value these stalled projects and see those ones which we can pick up, take them up, and complete them. Those which you can treat as sunk cost, then discontinue them. But, Mr. Speaker, there should be coordination between national and county governments. You find a huge government project, national government project, which was developed even from 10 years ago, in a county, lying there, yet a county government is constructing another state-of-the-art block of offices. Why can't we have a system where national government can surrender to county government some of these bills so that they can complete and use them? On Honorable Mule, Mr. Speaker, I'm trying to move fast. I hope I'm doing justice to all the questions. Honorable Mule, I know there could be underfunding. There is underfunding of the health sector. But I think health sector, we must look at it in totality. Before we even calculate how much we spend, we must find out how much national government is spending and how much county governments in total, 47 of them, because we have one country with 48 governments, which should be interdependent. So when calculating how much we spend on health, we should take it in totality and make sure that any money that is supposed to be devolved for health is devolved for health. We should not keep money at the national level here, implementing things on projects which should have actually been implemented by the counties, and have a coordination on how this is done. It may not be my exclusive, it may not be exclusive duty of this office that I'm supposed to get to. We have the Senate to oversight this. We have county assemblies, and we have and we have control of budget. We must work collectively. So that would address the issue of ring-fencing the money. We must allocate more resources to that department. Finally, Mr. Speaker, all this would only bear fruits if all agencies work together, including the the EACC and other DCI and other agencies which help us in fighting wastage of public resources.
Good. Russell. Honorable Dida Russell.